Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to this week's episode of Critically Casual. I'm your host, Reed Cuff, and joining me as always is the amazing Dorky Dev. Say hi, Dev.
Hello!
How are you doing today?
I'm doing alright. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. You know, I changed my camera angle and I feel short. Like,
Yeah, I've changed mine recently and I feel taller in the camera.
here we go, I gotta sit up properly. There we go, that's better.
I do need a new chair though, because this, not only is the arm broken now, but it popped out a little back here, so the back's starting to come out.
See,
So,
I was having that debate literally earlier this morning because I also want to get a new chair. Only because two reasons. One, my chair is this cheap little, office chair that you can get at an IKEA. However,
yeah, it is.
yeah. However, the second reason is because I am fat and my legs rub up against the sides where my arms rest, and I don't like it.
That's fair.
So yeah, I also want a new armchair. However, I'm debating between actually getting the chair or getting a piano because I want something.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So very different things, but
Exactly. I'm probably going to lean towards the chair, honestly, since I got the trombone recently, or will be getting it soon. But yeah. So there's that. Either way,
fair.
you ready to start talking about what we're doing this week?
Yeah, I'm ready to start talking this week.
Nice. All right. So this week, what we're
Oh,
doing?
that's a fair. Oh man, I that monster.
I was about to say I was going to talk about that in a second here,
Sorry.
but this week I've called it the Battle of Character because these movies are war movies about battles and people who do stuff and change. So we're talking about the Battle of Shaker Heights, and then we're going to talk about Fury, and there's that. Speaking of which, a metal dining room chair. So that kind of sucks. I'm sorry. I hope you have a pillow to put underneath your butt, monster, to make it a little more comfortable. That'd be nice.
Right.
Alright, but otherwise, you want to just get in here? That's good. He does have a pillow for his butt. That's a good thing. At least, is it donut shaped? That doesn't matter. Alright, you ready to start there, Dev?
I'm ready.
Alright, so we're going to start talking about our first movie here, which is The Battle of Shaker Heights. Starring Shia LaBeouf and Amy something, whose name I can't remember.
Amy Smart and Eldon Henson. This movie came out August 22nd of 2003 with a budget of... Where the fuck's our budget on this one? Did they give me a budget on this one? Oh, there we go. It's way down. Budget of $1 million. Opening U.S. 42 million, gross US 28 million, and that's all it made because it wasn't released worldwide.
Understandably.
I don't think this movie's as bad as it Metacritic score
I was about to say,
is.
Metacritic score is pretty harsh on here. It's definitely better than a 33 out of 100. I'll give it that.
100%.
However, there's really not much to this movie in any way, shape, or form.
It's a middle of the road movie. Honestly, I think it's just barely above middle of the road. You know what I mean?
Is that, Dev?
Why?
Why is
Because
that?
It's got some good acting.
That's good.
I'll say that. The actors and actresses in this are very competent and they do a good job with the roles they're given. The roles aren't super fleshed out or anything crazy, but they do a good job with them.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you that, absolutely. That's good to hear. Me, when I was watching this movie, it was hard to watch a little bit, only because it felt so predictable, but at the same
Agreed.
time, it was okay to watch. It was interesting to watch how they reacted and acted and all that fun stuff. The situations that they got themselves into were kind of funny, but I could I don't know if I don't know what it is about this movie, because it almost doesn't feel like there was any sort of progression for our character. At least not to me.
No, our character's almost the same by the end.
Yeah, but everything just kind of works out for him.
Yeah, he makes one choice and goes and does one thing, and thus everything is better.
Yeah, like he learns the error of his ways. So it's like, in a way, part of the reason why I call this a battle of character is because like he's battling with himself of how he should act and react to others. That's essentially the point of this movie, and he figures out that he's in the wrong, and then adjusts to be like, you know what, whatever, and then everything in life works out for him. Which I guess that's good, but it feels like
That's not how it works.
yeah, for one, and it feels like in the context of this movie, it doesn't really work out. It just, I don't know. It just feels so sudden, where it's like, oh, the movie's got to end soon. So,
Well, I mean, this movie is under an hour 20, is the other thing.
which thankfully, that's the one thing I'll give it 100% plus for. This is a movie that's like, we have no real intention. We're not gonna waste your time. We'll hit the movie length and then we're done.
Fair. I feel like if they had more time, they could have given some more intention.
Absolutely, maybe even 10 more minutes. I would have been happy. Well, probably 5 minutes. We don't need that much development in this movie because there isn't much development present as a whole.
Yeah.
But hey, it's pretty interesting at times.
Yeah. I can agree. He's got some cool things in it. Wish there was more of the war reenactments.
I agree. Like the small little moments where they go into the war montages is pretty interesting, but that's really not what this movie's about. It's
No, it's a teenage drama.
yeah, teenage drama, comedy, stuff happens. It felt there's so many moments when it just sucked watching him clearly do the wrong decision in the moment because you know that his mindset is like, yep, this is my character. This is how it has to happen, right? So,
Well, at the same time, we've both been angsty before.
oh, absolutely. Just ask Steven during his vampire phase.
I know. I met you during your. I didn't meet you during your vampire phase, but I did meet you during your vampire
You
phase.
were around.
In the sense that I knew you. And you met me during the I don't talk to anyone phase. That
Mhm.
isn't my close group of friends. And I was like, oh, anyone could be a close friend. Because I'm an idiot.
Yes. Sometimes everyone's
Stupid angst.
It's okay. The angsty ones that I had to work on the most was, I think the one I hung out with the most by now, out of our trumpet friend turned tuba player.
Yeah.
I have spent a lot of time with him, telling him that it doesn't really matter what other people think of you.
Yeah.
That was a lot of getting over his angst. Good times.
Angst is fun.
Mm-hmm. So this movie, getting over your teenage angst and growing into a functional adult, happens in a matter of a couple of decisions, which is good for this character. But ultimately, this movie didn't really have too much that attracted me. It was just very middle of the ground. This movie exists. The reason why you would watch it is to watch Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, and see some of his earlier stuff. I mean, again, he does a pretty good job in this.
Yeah, absolutely. The best parts of this movie, I would say, are Shia, Amy Smart, of course.
Our Marvel connection of the day, Eldon Henson, and also technically, let me double check. I think Ray Wise is in a Marvel movie. Hold on, let me double check that real quick. I don't know if he's in a Marvel movie. Hold on.
I was about to
I thought he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but
I have no idea.
oh, he was in Agent Carter. Okay,
Okay.
I was close. The other Agents one.
Yeah, the other Agent something or another. Agents of
he was
S.H.I.E.L.D.
in
is
Agent
multiple
Carter.
people. Agent Carter is just one person.
And then Eldon Henson. I remember seeing him walk onto the screen. I'm like, I know you from something. And immediately pulling him up and being like, Daredevil, Foggy Nelson. There we go.
See, out of all the people, I think Shia was fine. I think Amy was fine. But for the others, I didn't really care too much all for them. Like, I don't know. I guess Eldon did fine when he had his little moment. You know, the
Again, they were playing teenagers in a hour and 17-minute film.
I mean, at least they did better than like Grease, where they had 20-plus-year-olds playing high schoolers who are 16
That
and
is true.
17.
Shia looks like a kid.
That is true. I did like his
was
joke
Shia?
about their joke about his hair. It was nice.
It's 4, and no, he was actually 17 at the time.
Young.
Ah, weird.
Were there any like side characters that you really liked at all? Like for me, I liked William Sadler being here as Abe, his dad. I thought he was slightly enjoyable, and learning the backstory there was kind of nice.
I think it's resolved too quickly. Also, he's an Agents of Shield. Man, this movie's got a lot of people who go on to do Marvel. Like small Marvel stuff. I'll say that. Not the big stuff, not the big shots, Marvel stuff, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Small roles. But yeah, I like him. He seemed pretty interesting. There's a bunch of like small, interesting roles in this movie.
The problem is they might be interesting. There's just nothing that they do with it.
Yeah, it's just this whole movie. There's not much that they do with it. Honestly, they have lots of product placement.
Yeah.
They have interesting moments with, like, war, like conversations. But really, I haven't got much else to say, honestly. This is just the most... I think this is probably the most middle-of-the-ground movie we'll have. Middle of the road.
The only reason why I'm putting it above is due to, like, Shia's acting is pretty good in this. Again, I think the acting is better than what the movie is able to produce, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like, if there was more complicated writing, I feel like this could work out better.
Yes.
Especially because a big part of this is the love triangle between the name's Kelly, Tabby, and then what's her name? I think it was Sarah. Yeah. Like, the love triangle between them was pretty interesting. That was probably the most interesting part of this film, but it was never really developed in any way.
No, not at all. And he ends up with the girl at the end, so like,
without us ever seeing
doesn't feel
them.
earned.
Yeah, like, we never see any reason why they would get back together. It just kind of happened, or even get together in the first place. I mean,
Yeah.
so
No,
like
again,
a lot of the end is just kind of swept up and like, yep, it's good, we're done, la-di-da-di-da.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just kind of, again, it's just middle of the road.
So
But from acting, for me, it's just above.
okay, so you want your popcorn kernels?
Yeah, I'll take my popcorn kernels.
All right, Def, here's your 10 kernels. What are you gonna give the Battle of Shaker Heights?
Do I do? I'm debating between 5.5 or 6. I feel like 5.5 is a little harsh because the acting I think is pretty good. But it's like this is one of those moments that I wish we didn't stay true to our thing. So I'm gonna round up to a 6
All right,
overall.
I can appreciate that. And I'm gonna humble the movie by giving it a 4.5.
Wow.
It's still fine. It's just like I wish I picked a different movie. I wish I spent a little less time. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's an hour and 20 minutes, and it's not a bad movie by any means. I'm just gonna be more of a critic because I can be.
I mean, I'm not gonna argue it, but I'm just gonna say you're wrong.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I could give it a straight out 5, but nah.
I mean, that'd make more sense to me, but that's just me.
It's just me being mean here. So yeah, there's that. There's this first little bit. And I guess that is true, Monster. Marvel is where all the money's at, being that it is currently the highest grossing Marvel, movies. Disney has all the money, you know. What is it? 4 out of the top 10 highest grossing films are owned by Disney.
That's going to be all of them by the end.
That'd be interesting. Monopolies! Creative monopolies! Hooray! Alright. Speaking of creative monopolies, I'm just kidding. Let's start talking about Fury, our second movie of the day.
Yeah. Fury.
Fury.
Man.
This
movie's...
Sorry,
good.
go ahead. Good?
Ah,
Okay.
I like it.
I was about to say, this is actually a commentary that I'm interested in, is your commentary on this movie. Because when I was watching this is probably about the third or fourth time I've watched this film. And it's a good movie for sure. But I was wondering if you would, be, I guess, I'm not going to say disinterested, but, I thought you'd have something to talk about when it came to essentially the lack of an overall point in this film. For
My
the
good
group.
sir, this is a war movie.
That is true.
Do you realize the point of a based on a true story, war movies is not that there's really a point.
Mm-hmm.
It's to make a maybe interesting story into a bombastic movie.
Okay.
And that's what they do here.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. I was partially a little worried that I was going to hear an argument from you that was, this movie doesn't remind me of 1912, whatever year movie it is. Because there's no...
1917.
Thank you. I said that before, and then my family corrected me. I was like, that doesn't seem right. So, I was a little worried that I'd hear, because there isn't, an overarching end goal for our group, that you would be slightly
It's
disappointed.
just to win the war. It's to get through the war. That's their goal.
Yep.
It's stated in it. It's a goal in the movie.
I hear you. But I would say the overall point of this movie itself, though, is less that our group has a mission and more it's a character piece, and that it's about what war does to people.
No, yeah, it does. That's 100% it.
So,
do you think I'm that fucking feeble-minded?
No, but I just wanted to make sure you weren't. I'm trying to create content here by asking questions as the host.
Band of Brothers, right?
Yes, okay.
This is in my wheelhouse.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You're not a complete casual.
I'm some fucking simpleton motherfucker. Fuck you. Anyways, this movie came out October 17th of 2014 on a budget of, $68 million. U.S. opening weekend made $23 million with gross U.S. $85 million, and worldwide $211 million. So it made its money back and then some. A little under 4 times the budget, so not too shabby there.
Absolutely.
We do have a couple Marvel alumni.
Really?
Yes.
Who might they be, Dev?
John Bartholomew, who you might know as Shane from The Walking Dead, or if you watched Baby Driver, he was in that for a little bit. But he's also the Punisher in Daredevil, and a little show known as The Punisher. And then you also have Michael Pena from Ant-Man.
Yep. And
You'll love him.
Stories.
You'll love to see him.
One thing
that's the only major ones I'd see. Also, Scott Eastwood's in this for standing in it, I guess. He's in it. I don't know if you saw him, but he's one of the infantry from when they take when the scene with Norman and the revolver happened.
Oh yeah, I see it here.
He's one of those soldiers, and he's one of the ones who get who's walking down the street when the machine gun opens up from underneath the house on them.
Yes, I see the picture.
He's just in this movie.
Yeah, he's just kind of
randomly.
Here.
Little nobody from Fast and Furious is just in this movie randomly.
Just kind of here.
I saw it and I'm like, what the fuck is Scott Eastwood doing here? What the hell? That's so weird.
So yeah, things I wanted to talk about with this movie.
Yeah.
Are you at all disappointed that Shia isn't like an even more important character?
No,
Even
I
though
didn't
that
expect him to be more.
okay, good. So you're not upset that we didn't choose Brad Pitt month instead and still watch this movie?
No. I'll be honest. Again, the range of movies we're gonna do with Shia month compared to what we would have done with Brad Pitt month
Hmm.
is far better
I'd say so. There's
and
definitely
far more entertaining.
yeah. There's
Because again, if we had done Leo, if we had done Brad, it would have been, man, this movie's good. Man, this movie's good. Man, this movie's good. For the most part. I mean, there might be like one fluke in there, but for the most part, they're in good movies.
okay.
Shy, on the other hand, as we get towards the end of this month, is not in good movies. But he's not a bad actor. So again, it's entertaining to see him act in bad movies. As we saw with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Because he wasn't a bad actor in that.
Not at
I
all.
think he was enjoyable in that.
Mhm.
But that movie's absolute trash. So it's more entertaining to see someone who's a competent actor given shit material and see what happens.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm glad we did this instead. Anyways, Furies is a fun movie.
Absolutely, I liked it. I loved a lot of the slower storytelling that they did with it. How this was, as I said, a character story where it's where every decision matters, and you could slowly. It's really more about the development of one specific person in the crew. What was it? Norman Ellison, played by Logan Lerman. So much alliteration. But sorry, I got caught up on that. It's mainly his movie, like his character's movie, as he develops and goes through these moments. But there's so many other moments because we get this amazing set of like side characters who help the development of this main character. Specifically, Shia LaBeouf being the reason why this movie is happening. It's part of our themes. But we do have Michael Pena, who plays an awesome guy who helps him early on in the film. We have John Bernthal, who I do think he is probably one of my favorites in this movie.
Dude,
side characters.
He plays such fucking nutty characters every time he plays a character. I love him.
Mm-hmm. In this one, he's definitely like, I don't know, someone who's off his rocker, but at the same time still educated to a degree. Like
He seems like someone who, at the start of this war, wasn't who he is towards the end of the war.
mm-hmm.
That's the best way to put him.
That's the best way to put it. And then we just have other side members that really help out. But ultimately, it's our main crew up there, and it's just a great movie where
Yeah.
we get to see what war does to people. And I would honestly say, like, each movie has different things for different people. Like, 1917 has great cinematography, and it tells a pretty action-packed, entertaining story. This is
It tells a very tense story.
Yes.
Is the best way I'd put that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tension-driven one.
This movie is a lot more like you won't be on the edge of your seat by any means, but you'll be crying by the end if you really think about it.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll be at the edge of your seat by the end due to, like, just the last part of it. But, like, I think, like, this movie isn't about the tension. It's about the character.
Mm-hmm.
While, like, if compared to 1917 is about the tension because there's a time limit and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That movie's supposed to make you feel kind of tense.
Mm.
Especially given that it is a one-take movie.
Yeah.
So, like, one takes are supposed to be tense.
Mm-hmm.
They're not supposed to break the tension because a cut breaks tension, even if it's just slightly. It cuts some tension. So it's not supposed to, and it does its job. This one is a character one, and so it doesn't need to be as tense, but it needs to have characters who are interesting to draw you in, and that's what it does.
Yeah. How? So then, quick question: you've seen Saving Private Ryan, correct?
Yeah, I haven't seen it for a while, but yes.
Okay. Based off of your memory, how would you say this compares to that for you?
I mean, Saving Private Ryan's kind of the classic, is it not? Of this, of war movies in a way.
Pretty much, yeah. It's definitely one of the ones that's talked about the most.
I almost think I like in a lot of ways it's kind of held as the standard in a lot of ways. So I don't know if I would necessarily compare it to that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like at least World War II movies, Private Ryan is just kind of in a league of its own. It's also got Tom Hanks, so that's tough to compete with. And there's so much that happens in like the sniper stuff like that. Like, dude, there's a lot that happens in that movie. So this one I think is a little bit more close quarter, if that makes sense, with our characters. Because also D-Day was a shit show, and this wasn't D-Day. I mean, it's still got some shit shows, but it's not the shit show.
Mm-hmm. This is after most of the shit shows when things are starting to wind down.
Yeah.
But still, it's harsh out there. Things are pretty bad.
It's Germany during World War II. Not great.
Sorry, I'm looking through a list of war movies over here real fast. Patton, that was a pretty good movie. Platoon. All Quiet on the Western Front. That was just a book we had to read. Full Metal Jacket. I was trying to think of another one that could be compared to this. One where it's mostly about what happens to the people rather than the events of the movie itself. But I'm kind of blanking. Either way, lots of movies to sort through. I'm gonna get off that topic there and move on to the next. I've run out of ideas. My brain just shut off for some reason. Mid-search.
I heard it.
It just...
I heard
the hamster in my brain just kind of died. Is there anything non-spoilerly you want to talk about specifically, Dev?
I think the cinematography is great in this movie still. Mm-hmm. I mean, we talk about it... we're talking about... I mean, David Ayer knows how to shoot a movie. He does a good job. Again, I mean, we've done other movies of his, like Joker, that he wrote on Joker, I think, right? Did he write or did he produce or direct? I mean,
David Ayer was a
he's attached to Joker, right?
Yeah. Shows up here, but I'm having a hard time finding it.
I thought he did. Wait, Bright 2 is announced? Because I know he did Bright, but Bright 2's happening?
Yep.
Why?
But it doesn't have a release date yet.
No, this cannot be happening.
It's happening, Jeff.
I forbid this. No.
Nuh-uh. It's happening.
Oh, God. I mean, he did also do Suicide Squad. Again, Suicide Squad wasn't shot poorly.
Not at all. Sorry, but the problem with Suicide Squad, I don't know. Its story.
A lot of studio stuff happened with that movie.
Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to see where Joker is. I don't know where, which is interesting. It's weird because when you look at his IMDb, you see it as like one of the pictures there, but then you look at all of his credits and you don't see Joker.
Why is it there?
Yeah.
That's weird. I swore he was attached to Joker. No, that was Todd Phillips. What the fuck? Why is it like that?
Oh, there's an article from today about it that says David Ayer on Suicide Squad reshoots. Imagine if Joker was reshot and recut because it was too dark. It says he has recently joined the movement started by fans in a Suicide Squad film in hopes of replicating the release the Snyder Cut campaign and convincing Warner Brothers to release a director's original version of the 2016 DC movie prior to the studio enforced reshoots and recutting. Currently talked about in social media circles as the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. But I don't know why it's still Joker. Oh, because it was directly related to Joker. He was comparing it. Ha, I'm dumb. Oh well. Strange. Very strange indeed. But still, David Ayer is a good movie maker. Like, I enjoyed Bright to a degree. I wanted to see more of what they had to offer in that movie world. I mean, he also helped with
No
Fast
offense.
and Furious.
What?
He helped write the original Fast and Furious.
Oh yeah, I knew that. But no offense, Bright has some issues.
It does. It does. I'm not saying that it doesn't.
Like, I don't know. When you replace an entire race of people with orcs to...
Allegories.
But it's not really an allegory at that point.
It kind of...
Because it still seems that other racial injustice happens in that world. I'm sorry. That world doesn't make a lick of sense.
But it's magic!
I don't give a shit. Fuck you. Fuck your magic.
Back on the Fury. Cinematography is great. It's definitely one of my favorite things is the grittiness of the film. Like, it's a slightly noisy picture. Like, in moments of intensity where it'll be... Like, the graininess will pick up in the texture sometimes. But then there's just their use of depth. Their use of, like, making this tiny little tank feel so much bigger than what it actually is on the inside. And just what they do with how they create tension with just like one of my favorite moments is the tank on tank battle.
Oh yeah.
That was a lot of interesting tension in the movie. So there's that.
And then the final battle is really intense too.
Mm-hmm.
Without going into too much detail, man, that's intense.
Yeah. So, cinematography is one of the better things of this movie for sure. So I'll give them that. The one I'm not sure how I feel about this honestly is I wrote down a list of basically all the moments in this movie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are essentially 12 key moments in this movie for our main character, which, all in all, that's cool. It's a bunch of development as a whole, but I'm not entirely sure if I want more or less, you know. Like, this movie is already over 2 hours long. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes long. And I like getting to see the story that we do get to see. But I'm not sure if I'd prefer to see it like almost like the movie, what was it called? Hang on one second while I look this up. I can't remember. There's like I almost feel like I would prefer this movie in ways if it was longer time period where there's like minutes, like I don't know, where we get to see more of the journey for the whole crew rather than just one individual member.
I mean, fair, but that wouldn't be. You'd make this movie a lot longer doing that.
True, and then at that point it'd be closer to a documentary than it would be anything else.
Yeah. At that point, you might as well do a docu-series. Like, yeah, you might as well be doing Band of Brothers.
You are not wrong. So it's like this
So
movie sits in a weird spot where I both want to change it, but I don't know what I would change. It's just fine. It's good. It's just
oh yeah, I think it's just fine as is.
happy movie. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the best part about this movie, honestly, I would have to say, it all starts with the writing, and that's where this movie shines. Is its writing about its characters and the development. Then I'd say cinematography to me is second. I'd say acting is probably third. Still up there. They're all pretty close to each other, but acting probably third-ish. Yeah.
Hey, no, I concur, good sir.
Well, good. Do you have anything else to say before we start going to spoilers?
No, I think I'll give you your popcorn.
Okay. So, for this movie, I personally would give it a... I keep changing my score. I'll give it a 7.5. It's just a good character-driven film, honestly. There's moments of excitement for sure, but those aren't the key points of the film. It's, like we said, just about what happens with this character.
I'm giving it an 8.5. So,
Okay.
sitting it at an 8.
Nice. Very nice. Oh, big yawns. Sorry.
This would be the point we go into spoilers.
Yes, it would be.
So, if should we do a thing where we just say, hey, if you're departing, this is what we're doing next week at this point? Some people will depart at this point. We'll discuss this later.
Yeah.
It's something
I
I
was about to
just
say, I
thought
don't
of.
want to start thinking about changing things now in the middle of formats.
Sorry,
Stuff.
thinking out loud.
No worries. I was about to say, I like it as is. They could worry about it themselves later. We've already announced all the movies that we were going to watch this month, so...
Maybe they missed that.
Well, that's their fault. Go look
Because we
back
talked
to last
spoilers.
week's movies, or last week's podcast, which I still haven't uploaded to YouTube, so shush. And you'll see it. It'll happen. So, let's start talking about Fury. I haven't changed the poster on this one because the first one was more about Shia LaBeouf, and now this one specifically is like, you know, the whole cast, the whole crew. The people who are actually important.
Where do you want to start then?
I can honestly want to go through this just step by step. So all really like the key moments of this film, I guess. So in the very beginning, we get to see this battle of our crew, as it seems that they're the only remaining tank, really, one of 4, but still the only ones. And then they go up into the new group, and then they get their new recruit Norman. Like the opening intro, for instance, I thought was kind of interesting because it shows us what our crew has already been through and how they interact with each other. They show us that they've had a loss recently, and now they need a replacement, which is where our guy Norman comes in. From this point, there's not really anything interesting that happens to me that I think is really noteworthy to talk about. The thing that next happens that is interesting is when he is forced to kill the German man.
Oh, there's a part before that
What part would you say is interesting?
where he doesn't pull the trigger.
I mean, like that whole sequence where he's told, "Hey, shoot these people. I'm not gonna do it," and then he's forced to shoot the guy. Like,
Well, no, he's not said he's not going to do it at that. I'm talking about when he's in the tank still.
oh yeah, no, yeah, I still consider. I mean that whole moment still in this sequence. I apologize. That, like, when he's in the tank and told to shoot, and then he won't shoot the dead bodies, and then he's taken out of the tank.
Oh, no, I'm talking about before that.
Then I don't know what you're talking
When
about.
they're rolling up and the tank gets shot from the side.
Oh, that's okay. Sure.
And he doesn't shoot because he sees their kids.
He was like, yeah, he's a kid, and I thought he wouldn't do anything. Okay, so I missed one spot. Sure, that is one interesting. No, yeah, I hear you. So what do you think about that spot specifically? Then let's talk about it real fast.
Well, it starts his character development that we are going to get through this movie. Is that war is hell?
Yes, it
and
is.
It changes people.
And that's the first moment. Like the moment where we first start to talk about it is when he gets introduced to the tank people, the tankers as they call themselves, and Bible, Shia LaBeouf's character says, "Can't wait for you to see what people do to other people." That was the first hint. The second part was when the tank gets shot, and they lose one. And then part 3 is when he's forced to kill the German dude with the pistol, by actually having it given to him and shot. Oh, let's see. That one is like I'm breaking you in to kind of like get you used to the taste of blood, I guess. That one was actually kind of hard for me to watch, but that's kind of what happened, I guess.
I mean, it was World War II and war is hell. Like I'm not defending some of the action in this movie. I'm just saying this is what would have happened.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly if this is what happened, but
it just shows the juxtaposition between people who have been at war from the beginning and have gone through all sorts of hell, and the people who are just now joining it. So that's one thing that was interesting. And then that's after that moment, we get to see him actually start killing people intentionally, but that's because he was putting them out of their misery from burning alive. When they start storming the city, the first city. Maybe the second city, I guess, at this point. I don't know anymore. But they capture their town because the German people surrender. And this is a second part that is kind of contextually confusing. But also it shows the monstrosities and the harshness of war, where our two main characters of Brad Pitt and War Daddy and Norman, who eventually becomes named the Machine, they essentially break into this woman's house and use them for food and bathing and sex, but it's weird because it's not... To me, it's weird only because that's not something we do here in regular life, but who knows what happens in war? That's probably what happened back in those eras. So, yeah. You seem focused on something else here, Dad.
Sorry. I'm listening at the same time. Sorry. There's just a lot going on in life right now. So it's easily, like, I don't mean to get distracted during. It's just there's a lot of just things happening in the world right now, and it's tough.
I've really kind of started staying off of Facebook and Twitter again, or Facebook and Twitter. Like, I see it, I speak my 2 cents every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm gonna attempt to avoid it myself.
I'm not, because this shit isn't. Personal opinion. This shit isn't something that should be avoided because, especially, I don't know if you saw, but wonderful president.
Absolutely.
Has essentially just declared open war on U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
So that's great. Sorry, I'm at work most of the day, so this is I didn't get time to catch up on this, and it's just feeding into my feed right now, and I'm just like, oh, fantastic. God, fuck. So yeah.
Let's talk about that not on this show, sadly. We could have talked about it on Friday if we had the Har Har podcast, but instead we had the Hardcore Game Night, which was fun.
A moment of levity was needed.
Exactly. Okay. So then back to this movie, sorry. We have the town capture. We have the moment with the women, which is then abruptly cut short because of a shelling, which that I thought kind of was a little too much, I think, for this movie. Like, that was a moment where they're like, we really have to hammer home exactly how terrible things are for these people. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I haven't been talking yet.
Okay.
I've been just letting you talk for a moment.
Okay, I saw mouth movement, and I was like, why can't I hear a move? Sorry. So to me, that was maybe a moment where I was like, okay, I don't really think we had to kill the woman that he fell in love with because she was the
I
first.
wanted to say love.
I would say it was. Well, no, it wasn't love, but she was the first person to show him kindness in a way that, since being in that tank, so I could see it being like essentially love, but not like real love, but thank you for getting me out of this moment kind of love. So, and then they immediately take it right away with the shelling, which sure, I guess it's fine. But
It's war.
yeah, but
That's how I'm putting this.
yeah, but at this point, like so much is already like he's already had so much to change him already that I don't really think that moment was entirely needed, especially because we get to the end of the movie where we have our tank battle where we lose our last two tanks as support and we're left with our main tank.
Three tanks. We released 3 tanks during that battle.
Well, we lost the first one during a walk up, wasn't it, or a drive up? Or
No,
something?
there was 5. The first one gets lost during that first scene that I talked about. Then the other 4 make it. The first one of the 4 gets taken out during that tank-on-tank battle because they don't know the tank's there, and it takes out one of them.
And then
And
the other
3
3 come up,
move.
and then yeah. So either way, the tank battle happens, and it was a tense moment of cinematography for our crew, which shows like how they've all banded together and actually started working together as a group. And then we get to the part where they run over the mine, and they start having their like last moment of drinking together as a crew, where they're like, "Yeah, let's do this together." And then we have our last battle of the army versus the tank, and it seems for a while that our tank crew was winning until they run out of ammo, and they get outnumbered, and eventually Norman's the last one to survive by hiding and not fighting. And I don't know how, like, they go through all these moments to show exactly what you need to do, and then they completely change what he has to do towards the end, like what his character does. Like, no, sorry, let me rephrase that. They change how he has to react to the situation, because of course it's war and you have to change. But I don't, like, to me it just feels like a strange, sudden twist, which overall it's overall compounded for him because he's the last survivor. He hides underneath the tank to live, and when he comes out of the tank because of his friendly troops coming there, he's called a hero, and it burns his soul because I guess he's the only one to survive because he hid and he got lucky because there was one kind German who let him be. So, like, it changes the context of everything that he's learned, and like it's really, like, of course the character stuff, but it kind of changes what the point of the beginning part of the movie was.
That's fair. I would argue that it's still like the context of the movie is there, in the sense that, like, yeah, he got a little lucky there. I don't know. It's just I don't know, man. Worse hell is the best way to put it.
Yeah, like honestly, the thing that I agree with you, because every time you think you get used to what's gonna happen, it gets worse. And
yeah,
when you think you finally understand what's gonna happen again, the best answer is going back to where you were in the beginning, which was not fighting to start with.
yeah.
So, like, it's hard, really. Ultimately, the point is war sucks. Don't do it. But I guess my question to you is, should there be another point?
I mean, it doesn't necessarily need another point. I don't know. War's hell. That's
Don't
all I
do
got
it.
on this right now. I'm a little stumped. I'm not gonna lie.
No worries. Like, this is definitely more of a think movie. One that's supposed to have you asking questions and wondering, why did we even do this? Whatever brought us to this situation in the first place where we decided to start killing each other? Feels like it could relate to modern times if you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, we know why it all happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Hitler was a bad guy. But, I mean, a lot of people in Germany, like, the problem with what happened in Germany during that time is they kind of let it happen to themselves. And, like, it's scary because it's like, well, what if we did that, you know? Because, like, a lot of them didn't necessarily want to be doing that. But then they're in those fights, and you still, like, you've got those assholes who are hitting kids, like in this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, the one who was hanging
Shit's
kids
whack.
because they wouldn't work for the Germans.
Shit's whack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It just shows a
I
lot
was
of
at a
messed up
loss of
stuff.
words. Shit's whack.
The atrocities of war and human-on-human violence. What we need to happen is we need another couple hundred years to advance so we can get to Star Trek age, where there is no war on Earth. There is no hunger.
Because that's how it's gonna work.
Exactly. We'll just have to have a bunch of riots beforehand, protests, and honestly, I think it'll get worse before it gets better. But eventually, we'll get to Star Trek age. So yeah. Do you have anything else you want to talk about specifically in Fury, by chance?
Not in Fury, no.
No. Sorry, I just went into Grievous mode.
Palpatine.
Sorry, my apologies. I went into Palpatine mode. So I guess we're done here with Fury?
Yeah.
And spoilers?
We can talk about one movie that we didn't talk about. One movie news we didn't talk about last week. Somehow, the biggest movie news that happened last week that we didn't talk about for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
which would have been really good for us to talk about during a week that we watched the director's cut. We completely forgot to talk about Snyder Cut.
Oh, yeah.
How did we forget to do that last week?
I kind of spaced out on it because we had talked about it in our free time.
Briefly.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't like talking about stuff beforehand, because I think we've already talked about it, and I don't know.
Also, didn't help. We didn't put any articles for it into the Discord, I think.
I haven't really been putting much. I'm the only one who puts articles in the Discord. I'm just kidding.
I mean, yeah, that's how I keep track of them. But you didn't put it in there, so I didn't think about that, because it's usually where I go to just double check on things. And you didn't put it there, so I didn't think about it.
It's like, I was
usually how I
also
think
the
about those
only one to
things.
do that for T-Pop, and that wasn't even my show. I was like, hey, there's some gaming news. Here's some gaming news. Here's some
Well, I mean,
gaming
they had their other sources, too, that they used. They looked into. Yeah, so the Snyder Cut's a thing that's happening.
Yes, Snyder Cut on HBO Max only. It should be releasing sometime next year.
Yep. It was originally going to be a $20 million investment. Numbers now looking at $30 million. And just so you guys are well aware, we will rate it differently than the Justice League movie we watched. It will be its own slot on there when we eventually get to it and watch this 4-hour. It might be episodic, which we might just wait for all the episodes and watch it as one. We'll see what happens. I don't know what the fuck's happening with this thing. Is it gonna be good? Prediction.
Is it gonna be good? I think honestly, yes. Like I enjoyed Superman.
Right, you enjoyed Man of Steel for some reason. You're fucking weird. I don't know why you enjoy Man of Steel. Did you enjoy Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice Ultimate Cut?
I think that one I put higher than you did originally, but then we settled on your lower score. I don't remember though.
I should put that there, by the way. I didn't put Ultimate Cut as the one that we rated.
Oh, okay. I was like, what do you
there we
mean?
go. Because, I mean, we could watch the other Batman v Superman theatrical cuts.
You did compare the two? The theatrical versus the Snyder cut?
And watch the
Extended?
Snyder. Yeah. But I feel Snyder Cut's got to be a whole episode itself at this point.
Like, I almost feel like if we watched all three versions of the film and then just compared and contrasted...
Two versions. There's two versions. It's Justice League and Justice League Snyder Cut. And there's Batman v Superman and Dawn of Justice and Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice Ultimate Cuts.
Yes, there we go. I apologize.
Still don't know how you like Man of Steel.
It was fine.
It's not a good Superman movie.
It was a good Superman that they established movie.
He let a tanker hit a goddamn parking garage.
And that's what
is
Superman
heroic about
does.
But
It's not what your golden Superman does, but that's what that Superman does. A depressed...
just lets people die.
Yes. Because he
I
wasn't
hate it.
fully...
Then how do you enjoy that? What is heroic about that?
The heroic part is the journey to where he becomes the savior of everybody.
By the end of Justice League?
He gave up...
He's supposed to do that at the end of Man of Steel. This is why Justice League's not going to be good. Because Superman isn't Superman until the end of Justice League. Which, he should be Superman before Justice League. I'm sorry. I'm just... That is the thing.
I agree with you there, yes. They probably should have been another Man of Steel movie before the Justice League film.
Duh.
I'll give you that.
But no, they had to do Batman v Superman and kill him at the end of it.
Yep.
Because they wanted to just rush shit through. And then they overreacted to how Batman v Superman's response was. Because guess what? You made a shitty film afterwards. And then originally, fun fact, Enchantress was supposed to be like an agent of Darkseid in Suicide Squad, but they changed that and let that fucking like trailer company cut the movie. Which why the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Because the trailer did really well, so the trailer...
It does, no! That's not how it works!
She did her hip plays to the da-da-da-da-da-da.
And then the Justice League movie, they tried to salvage, quote-unquote, which, again, at that point, just let Zack Snyder finish his vision. Good or bad, you've devoted enough resources to the vision, just give him the vision, all right? And it was almost done, by the way. Like, most people don't realize, like, no, they had reshoots and something. Yeah, they still had reshoots. The movie was still pretty much done. Mm-hmm. Even at the tail end of a movie, there might be a couple reshoots.
Every time, yeah.
Like, there could be reshoots 2 months before the movie comes out.
Like, honestly, my favorite reshoots are the ones where it's like, hey, director person, we were going through post, and then we noticed that in this scene, a coffee cup was here, and then it was there, so we need to redo this one shot where the coffee cup's here again.
Yeah, there's little continuity things, stuff like that they do, that they don't want to fix in post. That it might be easier just to do that with. Mind you, there are other movies that don't do that, like Shazam, that turn the film crew into like people inside the mall and stuff like that. That's fucking awesome. That's a brilliant way to fix a mistake. But like, again, that's why I do not think this movie is going to be good in any way. I will eat my words if I'm wrong. It could be better than Justice League. I'm not saying it's going to be worse than Justice League was, because Justice League was the battle of two directors, and that's not the movie's fault. That's not Joss Whedon's fault, and that's not Zack Snyder's fault. That's Warner Brothers' fault, because they panic every fucking time the movies don't do well. They're like,
change gears,
eject, because they're fucking panicky little shits over there who can't get their shit together, and just get someone in charge of everything, like a Kevin Feige. I'm sorry, it's the smart decision to do. Do I think it's going to be better than Aquaman? Probably not.
No, I still think Aquaman will be better. Yeah.
Then it's probably not going to be a good movie.
I mean, Aquaman.
Because Aquaman is enjoyable.
Yeah, it's not a good movie. It's fun, but it's not.
It's a
good.
fun movie. I wouldn't declare it as like a good movie. I would put it at like, again, I think I probably gave it a 7, which is above average. I think it's an above average film, but I wouldn't necessarily give it like, yeah. It's enjoyable. It has some fun parts and it has some fun acting. Justice League's not going to have that, man. It's going to be dark, it's going to be dreary, and it's going to be depressing as fuck again.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be better than Justice League, but JL Snyder Cut is still not going to be a good movie. That is my declaration on this. That's where I stand. Quote me on this. I will put a fucking thing in here so we can clip it later.
That's okay.
So that it is clipped, so that when I eventually have to eat my words about it later, we have the clip that you could put in black and white,
right
play
there
at the start of the show in like a year. But yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be different than the Justice League movie. They're putting in $30 million into it, so it better be different than the Justice League movie. Probably going to be better than the Justice League movie was, but I don't even know if it's going to be better than Batman v Superman: The Ultimate Cut.
That if we were betting money, which I don't have the money to do, I would say it's probably better than the Batman, but still below Aquaman. Like,
that's the highest I think it'll go. I don't think it's going to be worse than Suicide Squad.
I doubt that. Because at least once we get one coherent director doing through the whole movie, I feel like it'll just be a better idea. Where at least with Suicide Squad, it was just hell.
Yeah.
Like the David Ayer thing that we just talked about, where they're like, it's a battle between studio and director, and what's going on here?
Warner Brother has no cohesion with it. Yeah, that's where I stand on it.
All right. Let's see. I'm trying to look at other news here that could be interesting. There were on-set pictures of what's his name? Robert Pattinson in his Batman suit. Don't know if you got to see those, but I
did not.
I personally did not like it myself. Because it's only because his head looks big.
Well, they're kind of going off of Batman the Halloween Long Halloween kind of look. I think it looks fine, personally. It's a different take on it. It's definitely unique compared to other Batmans that we've seen.
That is true. That is very true. I'm trying to pull it up for everyone else to see. I was unprepared. I don't want to accept your cookies. There we go. There's a thing. That'll work. Alright. I think it was this button. Nope. Was this button? Was it that button? It was this button. It was that button. Nope. It was this button. Yep, I'm great at this. I finally...
do it. I mean, these ones are a little older images, I'll say that, because this is from the little accident video that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it looks cool enough. It's unique. It's a new take on the Batsuit, so...
It looks fine. Like, I'm trying to find the picture I saw specifically, but these ultimately are okay. The one I saw didn't have the little eye things over him, and it was like they had used a wide-angle lens to do from an upper angle, so it looked like the top of his head was like one of those alien shapes. I don't know.
we'll see. We'll see when it comes out next year, I think.
Something like that. I have no idea, honestly. Like, I'm both looking forward to it and not looking forward to it at the same time. Because it seems to me like I'm tired of watching Batman movies now. I don't know. Just superheroes all the time.
True.
I would like something else.
I like superheroes though, so
Superheroes are okay. They add levity and entertaining moments to the world, and sometimes they can feel like roller coasters of emotion. Life hasn't been the same since, spoilers, Tony Stark died.
Let's get ready to spoiler!
So yeah, there's that little bit of news there. Let's see. Of course, there's the news of what's happening in the real world. Just be safe outside if you go outside. That's my only request.
yeah. If you are joining the protests, I'm gonna say just be safe.
Wear extra layers of clothing.
Yeah, especially after what just happened in D.C., where unprovoked, the police there just cleared the entire street, bashing cameramen and stuff like that too, to clear out the street so our great president, totally no sarcasm there, could take a photo with a Bible that he's holding like this. Hold on, let me grab. I have a book nearby somewhere. Usually, here it is. He's holding like this.
It's the Bible.
A Bible. That's how you hold a Bible. Bible, everybody. It's the greatest book ever. So yeah, that's cool.
There's some awful pictures you could see online. Like, one of my least favorites that I've seen so far was a picture of a girl after she had been hit by a rubber bullet, right about here in the head.
The girl who went grocery shopping and got shot.
Maybe, but it was,
Was she like a younger girl with like a whiter T-shirt? I think.
I
Curly hair.
I don't remember that part. I remember her face specifically because you could see the hole in her head and the fact that she couldn't, like, one of her eyes wouldn't open anymore and that it was hanging in a different direction.
Oh, that's Linda something. She's a reporter who she's gonna be blind in that eye going forward because of it. Because by the way, rubber bullets aren't really rubber bullets. They're 40 millimeter bullets. Technically, they're essentially buckshot covered in rubber. Or not buckshot. I think it might be buckshot. I can't remember. They're rubber. They're metal pellets covered in rubber. They're not made to be shooting at people technically without.
These technically non-lethal rounds are
extremely lethal.
Extremely dangerous. Like, they may not kill you, but they'll damage you for the rest of your life.
Well, they might kill you too, because
true.
I mean, they hit you in the head in the wrong spot, or like, hey, they happen to hit you in the wrong spot on your like gut area and hit an organ or something like that, or cause some internal bleeding because they're not made for close range, and some of these cops are shooting you at like 10 feet away, maybe closer sometimes, just shooting at you. Yeah, I don't know, man. Shit's whack.
Like, that's the weirdest part about this whole thing too, is the fact that they'll open fire actively upon media and like people who are just taking pictures. Like,
yeah, no.
I've seen.
I will say we're gonna ramble on about this if we keep going. So I'm gonna say this as like a general statement, I guess. Black Lives Matter, and that's just kind of it. I'm sorry, like I like, and if your retort is all lives matter, no shit, Sherlock, duh. But right now, this is a systemic issue. That if one of my favorite analogies so far is the fire department one, where your house is on fire, you call the fire department, but then they start hosing down every other house first. But your house is the one on fire. Shouldn't it be the one getting treated right now? So that Black Lives Matter isn't only Black Lives Matter. It's, hey, can we matter too? So that's where at least personally, where I stand on it. And I will continue to stand on it because shit that we're seeing right now is nuts. We have a wannabe Mussolini in office, and shit's not great. So just please be careful out there.
Please, please, please. Especially because the pandemic's still not over.
Oh yeah, no, that's the other problem. What the fuck is 2020?
And the best news of all, there are earthquakes happening at the
At Yellowstone?
yeah,
Yeah.
which means the super
Guess
volcano
what?
started to
That's
become
somewhat
active.
near me.
God, we're all gonna
in
die.
between two volcanoes. In between, well, technically three.
I was about to say, aren't you part of the Ring of Fire?
Kinda, technically, because I'm near Yellowstone, so... Shit, who knows what happens when that blows up. Rainier and St. Helens might go, too. Who knows if that happens. Shit's whack right now.
Yeah.
Parallel universes, aliens.
What have you done?
Dude, it's...
Who changed the Matrix?
Fuck it. If this is a simulation, this is maybe proof. It's just everything happening at once. But hey, people went to space. Good for them.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, be safe out there, people, please. Just please be safe out there. Also, happy Pride Month. Start of Pride Month as well.
Oh yeah, that was one thing. I was like, what happened to all this talking of, like, it's just so much is going on. We can't appreciate the things we're supposed to appreciate. Like, how how are we supposed to celebrate Pride Month with all this other things happening? It's
Well, what I will say, some people are pointing it out. Celebrate Pride Month by also celebrating, like Black Lives and stuff like that, because like a lot of Black LGBTQ members stood up and did everything they could to give, LGBT the rights they have today. Again, LGBT rights aren't perfect in this country yet either. That's another thing we still need to strive for. But hey, brick by brick, I guess. I got nothing better than that at this point because it all hurts seeing it right now. God.
yeah. So I guess let's talk about next week's movies.
Yeah, next week's movies.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Holes and Disturbia, two movies I do enjoy.
So yeah, we're sticking to our Shia LaBeouf theme. Of course, that's what it's going to be for the next couple of weeks. Holes and Disturbia. Though that I picked that pairing, of course, because it was kind of the more what's going on kind of movies, where I don't know, themes happened. I picked. It was
History.
hard. So yeah, I don't know. You have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up the show today?
I got nothing else at this point.
All right, I had a feeling. I went into the show talking to my dad. I was like, you know what, Dad? I bet you anything. This show is going to be about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes long. And we just hit an hour and 16 minutes. I saw that. You almost fell. Hurry up and fix yourself. Buy your new chair already. That's an impressive break.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah.
Man.
That's what you get for relaxing.
Ah.
It's
Damn
because,
it, dude.
It's because you threw it on the ground a few days ago.
I didn't throw it on the ground. It fell on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I essentially tripped over it when it fell. Out of fear and panic. I don't know.
Which was great. Which I'll talk about off stream. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. We'll continue Shia LaBeouf next month. Hopefully next week my dad will stop calling him Shiloh Buff.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. So yeah, thanks everybody. Hit the like button, the follow, the subscribe, the ding, the dang, the dong, the doongle, whatever. We have adjustments now. And we will see you guys hopefully next time where Dev doesn't fall out of his seat and die.